welcome back, Veteran Nation fans. I'm just going to check some things out here. Yeah. So, we're going to talk about something today that's been in the news this week, and that's going to be uh, Trump and the 14th Amendment. Now, very famously, everyone saw the news. The Colorado case went in front of the Supreme Court. And the reason I want to talk about that is because of some of the things that have come out of that case. Now, here I'm just taking care of a little things here in the background, so don't mind me too much. I'm going to talk about a man in history who set the precedent for this. Like the people saying that Trump is going to win at the Supreme Court, and it's likely going to be either 8-1 or 9-0, based off what the justice is. Well, they should have known that was going to happen. That this was going to be very bad for Colorado because there's already a precedent out there. We actually have already had someone who was convicted of sedition who ran for president, and it happened over 100 years ago. And there's a lot of parallels here, and it's very interesting. And for those of you who watch the show, you know I love history, and it has to do with this man right here, Eugene Debs. This is him. He is very much one of the last, I would say, one of the last successful socialists who came from a very academic type of place. And so this is him, and he ran for president as a socialist 5 times. He worked with the IWW, the International Workers. Where's their thing here? International or Industrial Workers of the World. I'm sorry, the IWW. So he was very much involved with the unions. Obviously, he was involved in the Pullman strike, and but he ran against Woodrow Wilson. He was on the Socialist Party. Woodrow Wilson was the Democrat who did eventually win, and Debs was one of these guys. He was very much like a Ralph Nader type of person, who was very much out there trying to get people for safer working conditions, better pay, things along those lines. But there are some parallels to Trump here. So what happened with Eugene Debs is he did a lot of speeches against Woodrow Wilson and against the involvement in World War I. He was very much an anti-war guy, didn't think we should be, didn't be a part of it. And he was actually someone who was instrumental with his advocacy against us being in World War I. He's one of the reasons why it took us such a long time to actually get into World War I and do something more than just, kind of stay on the outskirts and support logistically. So he was convicted. He was passing out. Leaflets and flyers and giving speeches, and he was arrested June 16th, 1918, after he made a speech in Canton, Ohio, and he was charged with 10 counts of sedition. So unlike Trump, he was actually charged. He was found guilty September 12th, so now he's a felon. He was sentenced September 14th. So this is someone who he wasn't leading an insurrection, but he was engaging, according to them at the time, of sedition. And he was put in prison. And he appealed. And, Debs v. U.S., while Debs had carefully worded his speeches in any attempt to comply with the Espionage Act of 1917, the court found he had the intention of obstructing the draft and military recruitment, among other things. And he would admittedly say he was trying to get people to not sign up. Oliver Wendell Holmes stated, in his opinion, little attention was needed since Debs' case was essentially the same of that of Schenck versus the U.S. Okay, so if you follow me on any social media, you know I talk about Schenck versus the U.S. a lot. That is the case of the fire in a movie theater that people like to talk about quite a bit. That case has since been overturned by Brandenburg v. Ohio. Uh, you can say fire in a movie theater, and if there's a fire, you absolutely should yell fire. What Brandenburg says is for you to have unprotected speech, it's got to be a call to action. It can't be just, I'm going to randomly say fire and see what happens. It has to be, get him type of thing. It's got to be very direct. You can't just say it's indirect, which you hear people who talk about Trump in this case, they talk about, oh, you can't say fire in a movie theater. Well, yeah, you can. And this case was overturned. Schenck was overturned by Brandenburg v. Ohio. And yeah, so that is no longer the standard. Are there limitations? Yeah, you can't use your free speech to infringe on someone else's rights. That's where the limit is. But you can absolutely say fire in a theater, and you can absolutely tell people, demonstrate. Absolutely protest, demonstrate. I'm going to go back here to the text of this. So right here, this is what's huge. Debs ran for president in the 1920 election while imprisoned in Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. He received 3.4% of the popular vote. 3.4% from prison. But what is this? This is precedent. This is precedent. Can someone be convicted of a crime post 14th Amendment and run for president and potentially serve? Absolutely. It's already been established that we didn't have to go to the Supreme Court. There's already case law out there. There's already an example. And the other thing about Debs that's also pretty interesting is President Harding, the Republican, even though Debs was a socialist, it was Harding who was a Republican. He commuted his sentence. Like said, look, there's no, or actually no, he issued a pardon. So Debs was eventually pardoned in 1921. So a year after he ran for president, he's pardoned. Everything's forgiven. He could run and say, I'm no longer a convicted felon. I've been pardoned of this crime. And, so there's a lot of parallels with what's going on. And people who are paying attention, who are, study history, they knew what was going to happen this week. I knew. Like, had anyone asked me, and I've been posting, like, oh, the Supreme Court is, this is not going to fly. And being that it involves a presidential election, of course it was going to get fast-tracked to the Supreme Court. I don't think we're going to have to wait long for a decision. I would be shocked if we go into the summer without the Supreme Court having made a decision on this. I think it's going to be very clear, very convincing. They're going to be like, yeah, no, this is an absolute joke. There's already precedent. I hope the Supreme Court actually references Eugene Debs. I know a lot of people call him Eugene V. Debs. I don't know of any other Eugene Debs out there to get confused with. But I hope they absolutely do reference his case because, again, this one was sedition. And it's just ridiculous. It was a clear violation of Debs's his First Amendment rights. And the same thing with the Espionage Act of 1917. You have a right to protest war. You have a right to protest the military. I'm telling you this as a veteran. You have a right to protest. I as a veteran would hope you would do it in a respectful way. Sticking with the protests of Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. Definitely do that. But Debs was absolutely a peaceful guy. I have no problem with the pamphlets that he was handing out. Obviously, the Woodrow Wilson administration did, and he was a very big target. And that's why this was done to him, is because he was a big target. This is why it's being done to Trump, because he's a big target. And what's funny is Debs, after this, I believe because in 1916, I believe he got only 3% of the vote. So putting him in jail, he actually got more attention, got more of the vote, 3.4%. The most he ever got was 6%. And, but I mean, that was probably the last time before Ross Perot, the last time that we had a third party that really significantly was challenging the popular vote, getting a significant chunk. And this, people get shocked when they learn about this because this was socialists. Socialists. Uh, Imagine if that happened to socialists today. People would be pissed. Of course they would. It's ridiculous. Just give the voters the chance to vote for the person that they vote for, and stop with the whole insurrection. It was a protest. It was a very ill-advised protest to go inside and do any type of vandalism inside of the Capitol. But you, as with everything else, you have to look at which side is lying, and you have the side that's calling it insurrection, trying to bloviate everything. They're saying that, oh well, cops died. Actually, no cops died. Only one person died, and it was a protester who was shot by a cop. That was the only death during January 6th. There were cops who died in the days after, but it was nothing linked to January 6th. And those who try to link it are grasping at the thinnest of straws. So, but there's a lot of parallels with this case. I highly recommend that you read up on Eugene Debs. Very interesting person, very interesting time of our history, and absolutely applies to today. That's all that I have for you today. It's a very quick and short video. Thank you for joining us. Hey, go to veterannationfoundation.com and buy one of our shirts. Support us, support all the work we do with the veterans. The more you support us, the more we can help them. And if you buy a shirt, a portion of that comes back to us, and we're able to help more people. So, definitely go to veterannationfoundation.com. And also, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Even if you want to tell me to go F myself, please put that down in the comments below. I'll have a good chuckle at it. But that helps with the engagement. It helps us get out there more and help more people. And thank you for joining us again today. And as always, thank you for being worth serving.